with you. I can't wait till next time you're in Texas. You can come in studio here. 9/11 truth, the New World Order, eugenics, all the things that are going on. I know you're aware of a lot of that. Give us your bottom line take on that.
Not to get into any Obama bashing, not to on these glorious happy days for African Americans.
Well, you're welcome. You're welcome to say whatever you say. Sure.
Here you go. But you know what? I will be truthful. And what one of the things I point out is that, the New World Order has no color, no race, no face. It's an ideology. And just because we have an African-American president, does this now make us more palatable to the agendas of a new world order, a new world system, the whole world working? Does just because we have an African American president, does that erase the agenda that we already know is underway? And this is something that I speak about often when you talk about New World Order. As we cheer Obama on, as we hope for a new world, and underline that, we hope for a new world, there are those who are saying, yes, we're willing to give you that new world. We're not going to get our New World Order with this guy who looks like this or may come from this background because it's all cosmetic. So why don't we take away this color or culture, background, ethnicity, rhetoric, and let's give you the rhetoric, the color, the guy you like. So that... You know what, KRS, stay there. I told him to play this song, but go ahead and cut it. We're going to come back with that. I don't want to interrupt you. I don't want to interrupt you. Start over. This is, in fact, let's skip this break, John. Let's skip this break at prisonplanet.tv because I want to skip this break right now. Start over because this is such an important point. Again, the way you boil it down, it would take me an hour to explain this, is that I'm happy we've got an African-American president. That's great because I want everybody to live in peace. And but I wish that he wasn't a globalist. I wish I knew, because I've studied it, that it wasn't a deception. I wish that that in the end it's going to turn people against each other because he's going to be able to ram through the New World Order agenda. And now when I oppose it, people are going to think I don't like him because he's black. Right. And this is what African Americans, if you're listening right now to this show, we can't get caught up in this. Truth has to be the new agenda for why you argue. Truth, 9/11 truth. Truth. If you got information, if you know what's going on, you can't deny the truth. And as much as I appreciate just the fact that I know my elders and ancestors wished for this day. They wished for an African-American president. But then when you ask my people, but why do you want an African-American president? What do you think an African-American president is going to do different than any other ethnic group that becomes president? What do you think? We all become stumped at that point. We all start talking about just this blind loyalty, which is what I'm pretty much concerned with, which is what my point is, this blind loyalty, or just because he's African-American, he's not to be scrutinized or to be linked really with that global agenda. So, once we cheer him on, we respect, we're proud, we're this, we're that. We all talking about getting back to work and rolling our sleeves up, and we got work to do in America. But what work are you doing?
Exactly. Notice there's no specifics in what he says, but when you look at what he's really saying, a domestic 18 to 24 military boot camp to serve the government, and he says, I want a new world order, and all of his advisors are involved in eugenics. And then one of the first things he does is fund abortions and the whole UN agenda, which we know is euthanasia, and so much more in Africa, in China. I mean, that's the thing. A year ago when Obama said, I'm going to end the warrantless wiretapping, I'm going to get us out of the war. I went on air and said, okay, if he doesn't bait and switch, I like Barack Obama. But then automatically he started turning up. And again, he's well-spoken. He's charismatic. He isn't this little devilish creature, Bush, who's arrogant. I mean, he comes off really slick. But, I mean, that's what's so scary is that I know it's a giant New World Order psyop because he says, everybody get behind me. I'll make it better. You know, I'll fix it all. Meanwhile, the banker bailout is $8.5 trillion and growing by offshore banks, which we're going to have to pay back in taxes. It's the total New World Order takeover. I mean, can you specifically speak to what you were starting to get into earlier when we almost got cut off there with the break coming in that I ended? I mean, specifically, if you had 1 minute to warn Americans, not just black Americans, to not hate Obama, but to just don't suspend disbelief. Don't mindlessly turn yourself over to him, because we saw that with Hitler, Stalin, Mao, and others. I mean, every time in history we see people just mindlessly get behind something, it normally turns bad.
You actually summed it up right there. That mindless loyalty is really, and that's beyond African Americans. I mean, I would respectfully start with African Americans, because this is how the issue's being played out, that this is our president, that this is our victory, that somehow we are to be ecstatic because it's an African American president. And in a cosmetic sense, I can join in on that rhetoric, but in a truthful sense, in a scholarly sense, even in a godly sense, it's not about the president at all. Give you an example. Everyone's putting the economy on Barack Obama and saying, you know, he has a plan for the economy, and he's going to do this for the economy. And, well, what is your plan, President Obama, for the economy? Not realizing that the economy has nothing to do with him.
It's run by offshore. It's run by offshore private banks, and I mean that's the thing.
Right.
Is that he's this big diversion and big distraction when he is a puppet, just like Bush was a puppet. If he tries to become a real president, it's what Hugo Chavez said last week. They'll do what they did to Kennedy.
Exactly, and Martin and all the others. Now, here's the point: if he tries to be a president for the people for real, he's going to have to go against the corporate structure that actually holds the country together, that actually put him in office. There was arguments that Hillary Clinton made in the campaign, which I find ridiculous. I mean, not her statements, but the fact that in politics you argue with each other, you pull out everyone's faults. He ain't this, she ain't that, you did this, you said that. Then whoever wins